Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Heavenly Parent Holy Community Oceania Hundoke, today being Ahn Shi, together with Rev Santosh Neupane. And today is the Friday, the 28th of May, or the 17th of April in our 9th year of Chongalguk. Welcome, everyone, and let's begin by offering a bow to our Heavenly Parents and True Parents. Chariot, Kyombe, Haru. And let's offer our family pledge, both in Korean and English. Thank you.
가족 만세. 2. 천의국주인 우리 가족은 참 사랑을 중심하고 하늘 부모님과 참 부모님을 모시어 천주의 대표적 가정이 되며 중심적 가정이 되어 가정에서는 효자, 국가에서는 춘신, 세계에서는 성인, 천주에서는 선자의 가정의 도리를 완수할 것을 맹세하나이다.
Family pledge number 2. Our family, the owner of Chongalguk, pledges to represent and become central to heaven and earth by attending the Heavenly Parent and True Parents. We pledge to perfect the dutiful family way of filial sons and daughters in our family, patriots in our nation, saints in the world, and divine sons and daughters in heaven and on earth by centering on true love. Thank you. And I'd like to ask Iris if she could offer the opening prayer today. Thank you. Are you there? Yes.
Yeah. Hello?
Yes.
Yeah. Just join me in prayer. Our dearest Heavenly Parent and our true parents, we want to express our gratitude to you this morning for giving us another chance to hear our true parents' guidance and to feel your love to each and every one of us, your concerns to each and every one of your children. We are grateful that together as members of the Heavenly Parent Holy Community in Oceania region, we can gather through this Zoom platform, share together our hearts centering on our true parents' guidance, and we're grateful for the elder members who been with true parents during their most difficult times. Also with true mother who really stand with true father amidst all the difficult situations of the Providence Heavenly Parent. We pray that we can become people who can leave a good legacy, Heavenly Parents, to our nations, to our mission countries, Heavenly Parents. Please be with us today and invite your divine presence as we begin this Hondoke. I'd like to offer this prayer and our name, Balamin Iris, blessing to the family, Aju.
Thank you. So let's all give a warm welcome to Reverend Santosh as he shares with us this morning. Thank you. Please unmute yourself.
Yeah, thank you. Good morning, Reverend Utaka and all brothers and sisters. Thank you, Reverend Utaka, for your wonderful leadership in our region. Today, I have chosen this topic from True Father autobiography. Actually, I have two parts of Ahundego. One is from the autobiography, and one is from True Mother's speech. True Mother's speech from 8th Memorial Service. 8th Memorial Service of a True Father. So this, why I choose this topic today is because of the poem, Crown of Glory. Every time I read this poem, The Crown of Glory, it reminds me to see things from God's point of view. Many times, as a leader, as a blessed family, we tend to see only from our point of view. We see the things from our point of view. But when I read this poem, every time it gives me power, it gives me motivation to see from God's point of view. That is the reason I choose choose this topic. And many times we missionary, we come to this phase of life. During our mission life, we come to this phase of life where okay, the more it hurts, the more you should love. I was thrown into extreme confusion. I could not open my heart to my parents and share my huge secret with them. But neither could I just keep it to myself. I was at a loss over what to do. What was clear was that I had received a special mission from heaven. It was such a huge and tremendous responsibility. I shuddered in fear to think that I might not be able to handle it on my own. I clung to prayer even more than before in an attempt to quit my confused heart, but even this had no effect. No matter how much I tried, I could not free myself for even a moment from the memory of having met Jesus. In an effort to quit my heart and my tears, I composed the following poem, Crown of Glory. When I doubt people, I feel pain. When I judge people, it is unbearable. When I hate people, there is no value of my existence. Yet if I believe, I'm deceived. If I love, I'm betrayed. Suffering and grieving tonight, my head in my hands. Am I wrong? Yes, I'm wrong. Even though we are deceived, still believe. Though we are betrayed, still forgive. Love completely even those who hate you. Wipe your tears away and welcome with a smile. Those who know nothing but deceit and those who betray without regret. O Master, the pain of loving. Look at my hands. Place your hand on my chest. My heart is bursting such agony. But when I love those who acted against me, I brought victory. If you have done the same thing, I'll give you the crown of glory. Cannot imagine how True Father wrote this poem, and every time we read this poem, we become very fresh. We come to see the things from God's point of view. This is my experience. I'm running in 22nd year of my public life. From the day of I knew True Parents, I became full-time, and until now I'm as full-time. This is my 22nd year, and coming October, I'll completely finish my 22nd year. So every time I read this poem, I get this kind of feeling. A river of heart flows with tears. My encounter with Jesus changed my life completely. His sorrowful expression was etched into my heart as if it had been branded there. I could not think of anything else. From that day on, I immersed myself completely in the Word of God. At times, I was surrounded by endless darkness and filled with such pain that it was difficult to breathe. At another time, my heart was filled with joy, as though I was watching the morning sun rise above the horizon. I experienced a series of days like these that led me into a deeper and deeper world of prayer. I embraced new words of truth that Jesus was giving me directly and let myself be completely captivated by God. I began to live an entirely different life. I had many things to think about, and I gradually became a boy of few words. Anyone who follows the path of God must pursue his goal with his whole heart and total dedication. It requires a steadfastness of purpose. I am stubborn by birth, so I have always had plenty of tenacity. I use this God-given tenacity to overcome difficulties and follow the way that was given me. Anytime I began to waver, I steadied myself by remembering I received God's word directly. It was not easy to choose this course because it would require me to sacrifice the rest of my youth. At times, I felt I would rather avoid the path. A wise person will place hope in the future and continue to move forward, no matter how difficult it may be. A foolish person, on the other hand, will throw away his future for the sake of immediate happiness. I too at times held foolish thoughts when I was still very young, but in the end, I choose the path of the wise person. I gladly offer up my life in order to pursue the way God desired. I could not have run away if I tried. This was the only way I could have chosen. So why did God call me? Even now, at 90 years of age, I wonder every day why God called me. Of all the people in the world, why did He choose me? I was not because I had a particular God appearance or outstanding character or deep conviction. I was just an unremarkable, stubborn, and foolish young boy. If God saw something in me, it must have been a sincere heart that sought Him with tears of love. Whatever the time or place, love is most important. God was searching for a person who would live with a heart of love and who, when faced with suffering, would cut off its effect with love. I was a boy in a rural village with nothing to show for myself. Even now, I insist uncompromisingly on sacrificing my life to live for God's love and nothing else. There was nothing I could know on my own, so I took all my questions to God. I asked God, do you really exist? And that was how I came to know that He did, in fact, exist. I asked God, do you have any cherished desire? And this was how I came to know that He too had cherished desire. I asked Him, God, do you need me? And this was how I discovered that He had use for me. On those days when my prayers and dedication connected to heaven, Jesus appeared to me without fail and conveyed a special message. If I was honest in my desire to know something, Jesus would appear with a gentle expression and give me answer of truth. His words were always on the mark, and they struck deep into my bosom like sharp arrows. These were not mere words. They were revelation about the creation of the universe that opened the door to a new world. When Jesus spoke, it seemed like a soft breeze, but I took His word to heart and prayed with an earnest strong enough to uproot a tree. Gradually, I came into a new realization about God's purpose in creating the universe and His principle of creation. A river of heart flows with tears. During the summer of that year, I went on a pilgrimage around the country. I had no money. I would go to home and ask to be fed. If I was lucky, I caught a ride on a truck. This was how I visited every corner of the country. However I went, I saw that my homeland was a crucible of tears. There was no end to the sorrowful sight of suffering from hungry people. Their woeful lamentation turned to tears that flowed like a river, the which history must end as quickly as possible. I told myself, our people must not be left to suffer in sorrow and disappear. Somehow, I need to find a way to go to Japan and to America so that I can let the world know the greatness of the Korean people. Through this pilgrimage, I was able to redouble my determination toward my future work. As I cleaned my two fists, my mind became totally focused and I could see clearly the path I had to follow in my life. I absolutely will save our people and bring God's peace on this earth. So this is from True Father's autobiography. And the next is True Mother gave this speech on the 8th memorial service of True Father Songhua. So this is not the full speech. I have just taken the half part. There is a special purpose was why I choose this. I think it will come later in speech. God created all things in his image. Likewise, as his only begotten son had been born, his only begotten daughter also had to be born. Briefly to explain, God's only begotten daughter was born among the Korean people in 1943. This period in Korea was one of the most miserable and difficult times in Korean history. Korea was liberated in 1945 and was divided between the North and South. It was under such circumstances that the Korean War broke out in 1950. Those were days when the South Korean government had no capacity or power to deal with the North. Then how could 16-member nation of the United Nations came to defend democratic South Korea? This was not by human power. It was because heaven was with us. This being the case, the Korean people among whom God's only begotten daughter was born are the chosen people. However, we need to seriously reflect on the position of the chosen people in the past. The chosen people carry the responsibility to become one with God, God's only begotten son and daughter born on earth, and realize heavenly parents' dream on earth. Due to the coronavirus, all nations are setting control in relation to one another and closing their borders more tightly than before. If we continue like this, there is no hope for the future. We who are living in this is a time when the responsibility of the blessed families who follow true parents is of crucial importance. I have mentioned that earth is suffering due to the ignorance of human beings. The development of civilization and advance in science have reached the stage where they have become out of balance. Consequently, they are severely reducing the space on earth where living organisms can survive. We inevitably worry about the future of our beloved second and third generation sons and daughters. What are we to do? There is no time to delay. While I'm still living on earth, all blessed families around the world should actively work and strive to expand the environment. True parents are created so that they can teach others that. From the outset, God, the Creator, has been our parent, and his dream is to realize the kingdom of heaven on earth and live here together with us. The only way to solve all difficult problems arising in our world is to follow the path of true parents. True parents will from within the heavenly parents holy community. So when True Mother was sharing this particular part, and then I burst into tears. True Mother has to say this, while I'm still living on earth, all blessed families around the world should actively work. One of the most very important thing that strikes in my mind is when True Mothers, during the Songwa ceremony of True Father, True Mothers told us, there is no stopping. There is no stopping. When I listen this, I dance, I dance, oh, we have True Mother. True Mother said there is no stopping. I think many of us blessed family got a very big support, a very power through that True Mother's saying, there is no stopping. There is no stopping. Same when I listened this during True Father's memorial, Songwa memorial last year, then the things strike me, and then I said, yeah, I have to work more actively. I have to work more hard, and I have to establish substantial foundation of our beloved true parents in this country of Fiji and to whole Oceania. This kind of determination came to me. So this is the reason I choose this particular True Mother's speech in today's Zundake. I want to repeat it again. While I'm still living on earth, all blessed families around the world should actively work and strive to expand the environment of true parents have created so that they can teach others that from the outset, God, the creator, has been our parent, and his dream is to realize the kingdom of God, kingdom of heaven on earth, and live here together with us. The only way to solve all the difficult problems arising in our world is to follow the path of true parents. True parents will from within the heavenly parents community. Notably, the Korean race is a people that heaven has embraced and nurtured for 2,000 years. It never attacked, it's never, not even once. I truly believe in this thing, that because I experience Korean people, a lot of Korean people, and many people used to say me, there are many bad Korean people, there are many bad Korean people. In my journey when I was studying in Korea, doing fundraising in Korea, doing frontline activities, I distributed 430 books, the True Father's autobiography I distributed in Korea. 430 people received the books so happily. I never experienced any people angry at me. I never experienced when I was doing fun. Anytime I never experienced that kind of bad feeling from Korean people. I was always greeted, and I always used to greet Korean people with very happy, very kind heart, including the kids and the small kids also. It never attacked, it's never, not even once. The Korean people have been highly educated in the philosophy of filial devotion, revering heaven and in filial piety to their parents. The day must come when this nation, who is the chosen people, became completely one with true parents and proudly declares in front of all people living today that they have become a heavenly unified Korea, Korean people that live together with heavenly parents. I have said time and again that this is great calamity of spreading coronavirus is not something that can stop by human effort. As far as I know, it took several centuries to discover a vaccine for smallpox. We can succeed in this if God works with us. The people who are known as the politicians and leaders of Korea in the present time need to know about heaven's providence. They need to learn to fear God. The only way for them to fulfill their responsibility and duty as people in charge of the nation of the chosen people is to attain heavenly parent. Dear member of the unificanist community around the world who are on the path proclaimed confidently through the top-class International Summit Council for Peace and the International Association for Parliamentarian for Peace in our own countries, that there is a future for all people only when we attain and go forward with Heavenly Parent. I will say once again that the responsibility of the blessed family in Korea is important. Can God blessing remain with these people on the basis of your effort? If not, these people may follow in the footsteps of a past chosen people who have become part of a history that has flowed on by. Please remember that we are now at such a serious crossroad. So this was some part of True Mother's speech during 8th memorial service of Father Songwa. I think we as very special people on this earth, I think I feel like that because I know true parents, and especially my experience during this Hunduke together with Rev Utaka, and especially during the reflection time, I get so many insights, from the elders. So how much precious are our elders? I think as True Father always used to say that every one of us should write our autobiography. I think all the elders are writing the autobiography because the life, the memory of and the experience of our each and every elders, because all our elders, they went through the formula course. Every one of our elders went through the formula course. I used to be very close with my Nepal National Messiah, the Korean National Messiah. He was 777 couple, Che Kite. He used to own a small cafeteria in Sunwon University. So whenever I had time in Korea, I used to go to his cafeteria, and then I used to talk to him in Korean, and I used to listen his experience. Anyway, he passed away 2014. He passed away in 2014, and still I have communication with his wife. When I used to listen his testimony, it was wonderful how they pioneered the church in Korea. 77 couple means they pioneered the church in Korea, and I think Arai-san is also 777 couple, and many elders that I listened their testimony in Yankee Stadium rally, their testimony in pioneering in America and different part of the world. I think in the future, everyone's the autobiography will be very, very popular. I believe that, you know. So I'm really happy that Rev Taka-san initiated this Hunduk, and I'm listening. I came to know a lot of elders from Australia that I never knew, and listening their testimony and their experience during their frontline mission in their youth. I was born in 1979, and then when I hear the testimony of 1974 and 70s, it's wonderful. Thank you very much. This much for today from my side.
Yeah, thank you, Reverend Santosh. Thank you for sharing with us. So thank you. Yes, it was rereading together with you. The Crown of Thorns was really the Father's poem, and reflecting on how Father really worried. Could he really achieve? Was he really worthy? Really searching himself so much. Thinking. Do you really exist? And yes, you do. And I'm sure many of us can relate to that experience in our life when we first came to recognize God was always there in our lives, but to recognize that He's really there from the very beginning. Really, our parent from the very beginning. That those words touched me today. We long to be in the embrace of true parents. The more we come to know about the divine principle, or the more we come to know about our life, that it is inseparable to our heavenly parent, that we can't do it on our own. We absolutely need to connect to our heavenly parents, and that innocence and purity of youth, that Father had when he was first called by God as a young man. I mean, that we all have those experiences that touch our hearts and really encourage us to go forward to seek. When I first had my experience with God, I just wanted to go on the path. I want to be good. I remember I was 9 years old, and I had this experience where God touched my heart and said that you are my son, and I felt that I had to become good, and only good, and then that started my internal journey, and obviously up and down, different experiences, and then questioning my whole purpose many times. But when I see Father's expression, he had that determination And he didn't say I was anything special, but all he had was a sincerity of heart, that he just had love. And then once he was understood that God is his parent, God is there from the very beginning, he never doubted after that. And I know my personal journey. I went up and down, doubting, and then finally I achieved the point where I literally don't doubt anymore. And it's been many years that I never doubted. But I regret the times that I did doubt along the way. So thank you, Reverend Santosh, and bringing that poem and hearing Father's words and Mother's words at the anniversary of his Sungwa, that we really need to work together. So I'd like to open it up to others to share. Go ahead. Yes, Douglas, go ahead.
It's incredibly inspiring, the words that you chose to read today. And I thank you. Your whole delivery and everything. I know some Korean leaders, they love the joy, I'm sure if they were to see you, they would give you a nickname. Bubbling enthusiasm. You bring joy in your message and your delivery. You are truly a joy maker. And the words that you shared this morning are so powerful. It's someone with a pure water heart can speak them. And we thank you from Nepal for delivering these beautiful words to us today.
Thank you, Douglas. Steve has his hand up. Go ahead, Steve. Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Reverend Santosh. Recently, I had the occasion to have been asked to share with a group of elders at the Malulaba Christian Church's Friday morning coffee clatch. I've been going there on and off for months now, and these are the wives of former pastors of the church. Many of them are academics or they're former teachers, and some of the fellows. And we usually have opportunity to share and talk, and then someone is chosen each week to share an inspiration and offer some insight and a prayer. So I was asked by the group here a few weeks ago to share one Friday morning, and for the following week. And so during the course of the week, I prayed and tried to intuit what the audience would bear and what I could do to feed them. They always start with a little humor or tongue twisters or something to just get, the heads around, what the presentation might be. So I offered 3 Christian or, upbeat jokes. And then I went into my testimony. And I closed it with Father's poem. And then I read to them Revelations 12 about the woman about to give birth to a son who would rule the nations, and about the great red dragon that was thrown down after being defeated in heaven, and explained that that is the age in which we live today. But they were so deeply moved about the poem. And I said, this is from my mentor, my pastor, a spiritual leader who actually had nominated and suggested my wife to me back in 1992. We were married in the Seoul Olympic Stadium with 30,000 couples and 100,000 people. And Reverend Fahaki, who is the pastor of the church, he was present as well. And he knows, of course, I'm with Father, Mother, Moon, but the community doesn't. And I introduced that very point that day. But I think what really hit home was not only, some interesting points of my testimony, but the heart of a 15-year-old boy, and having met Jesus and his life transformed. But the poem, I noticed when I was reading and looking around the room that they were just dumbstruck. They were so moved by that poem. And so when you shared it today, I was reminded of its power and its influence, and how much I really love this group. I'm preparing to go again this morning because they're so pure and sincere. And yet, now Christianity is waning in this country, but they grew up in a time in the 40s and 50s and 60s when they hung to Jesus because they were forging a nation and a family. Many of them had 6, 7, 8, 10, 12 children in their families, which is unheard of today, but in those days, it was commonplace. But most of them were Christians, have been Christians their entire lives. And I asked them last week, could you think of writing a page or a couple of pages about your experience growing up with Jesus in Australia? And I have a friend who has a publisher in India. Maybe we can publish these. People need to know the original heart that forged this nation. It was and still continues to be in its heart a Christian nation. So in any event, I was reminded of that experience with the poem you shared and Father's writings around the poem, and I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve. Yes, Randall, go ahead.
Now, sometimes this telephone doesn't give the best sound, and it is a bit garbled. So if it does, tell me, and I'll go over to with later. At the 120-day leaders workshop in 2010-ish, there was a request for autobiographies or for at least anecdotes of people's lives. Basically, the most important story you can tell, or the most important lecture or sermon you can give, is your life story. Father was saying that, they hear principle, and basically it's like theory, but they want to see theory in practice. And so they want to see if it does actually work. And so that's why if you give your testimony, that kind of gives an idea for that. For some of us, however, it isn't just an autobiography, it's more like a musical, sometimes an opera. But that's fine as well. I remember back in 1988, we came back from Perth, and we were doing a workshop. We were doing fundraising over there, and basically we had something like 10 mortgages around the country for the church, and it was difficult to survive financially. We were going to be losing some of the properties that we had, and so we went over to Perth to fundraise, and we were really kicking some amazing goals. And so when we came back, I had used "Don't Worry, Be Happy," that song, and basically rewrote the lyrics. And between the like 4 of us, we presented this song, and it was just just going through the different things and just hit a few highlights. With Mother's book, the way that she started out was you're thinking, oh gee, where do I start? What, people are going to get bored. But the way Mother did it was she touched on the highlights in the first chapter. You may notice that. And it kind of like, oh wow, oh, I've got to read the rest to find out, what happened with this. And so this is some of the things. I went through creative writing courses, and they say that if chapters 5, 11, and 18 are the most important chapters, make chapters 5, 11, and 18 chapters 1, 2, and 3. And that way it gives a lot of feeling, a lot of interest for people to keep going. So, or at least allude to what goes on there, and then keep it at 5, 11, and 15. And then, it gives a bit of feeling there for Father, he was really a controversial figure. It was hard for people to listen to him in a career especially. And so, you know, what are we going to find out from this weird guy? And it starts off just walking in the garden with his wife, picking herbs. And it's kind of like, this is really down to earth. This is, you know, kind of like normal. And so for some of us, it's amazing. Marie Galper also did her story, and she just focused on one aspect, which was her kidnap and getting out of the deprogramming. But to lead up to that, then she had to include all these different things. And so there's different anecdotes at different times. Sometimes you just want to focus on one point and flesh that out, get an emotional feeling for it. Don't just put like point, oh yes, one time a guy pulled a gun on me, then another time, you know, some dogs attacked and I got out of that, and you know, then another time. You don't just put it like that. You just flesh out, you know, 30 different points. You don't have to go through all the different things. So yeah, writing your story is showing that the principle does work in practice, and this is one of the things. So I inspire everyone to write their autobiography or opera. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Randall. Okay, just still got time for a few more people. Go ahead. Who would like to share? We got Mr. Rye's hand up. Go ahead.
Just take off. Okay. Thank you, Santosh, this morning. And I think he went fundraising in Korea and met many, you know, people. But I think he said he had it's a bad experience with Korean, and that is very important. And also, after I come here, Australia, and I had many, you know, Korean people, Korean leaders, and I was actually no bad feeling with except one. I don't tell. Then just I like to just share about Bohee Park, because he's one of the proud Korean, and also Randall experienced kidnap, and also other many, and he because he came to Australia and he died 2 years ago, 2019. So just I like to reflect Bohee Park because we have little time. So when he was, this is the end of it's a Danbury, it's most one of the important incidents when he was kidnapped, and his situation is so bad, he nearly died, he killed. Maybe when he killed, maybe he was thrown away into the deep ocean with drum can of concrete. It is very difficult to find out. It's a very difficult if happened, but nearly happened. But he was rescued. Father prayed more than 40 hours, and the mother prayed. But also he picked up his, you know, voice, and he did actions. Then he miraculously rescued. And if that kind of happen, it's a very uncomfortable for all this movement. You know, it is difficult, but it has got a miracle. Then he came to Australia 2010. With Retrainers Tour, 16 Nation Tour, Korean War 60th anniversary. Then that has happened November 2010, but before 3 months before, he became 80 years old, 18th August. Then father conducted his birthday party. Then nearly 1,000 people can attend in Korea. From Japan, 15, from US, 30, Jenkins, Sterling's, many. Then many warm message, including a former church leader, Mr. Kim. And then finally he, Bohi Park gave a message with a really tearful message. He talked about parents growing up very poor. Korea is very poor. And the mother was working so hard, then become sick. The mother said, mother was working so hard and incredible hard. The mother was not Christian, but her religion was son. And also, Bohi Park was not Christian, but his religion was parents. Incredible close. That is a Korean people. And the mother, when he seriously ill, she said, don't call doctor because need money. The mother died 49 and the father died 65. So he said, I'm 80 years old and 1,000 people respected me and I'm happy to die anytime. Then that year, father asked him to go out 16 nation tour. He's 80 years old. Then that time he came to Australia because not a performance area. He is needed to MC also give message further to the for Korean veteran to comfort. He comes to Australia. I think many people met him, and actually he done incredible 80 years old, and I'm 74, but he's 80 years old. So Santosh is mentioned, it's quite, quite many old people. He's one of all 80, but he did incredible performance MC to give further message. And we are very closely, relate to him that time. And I find out it's not only, for performance, he's really, it's gentle, warm. But one of the biggest things, he respect even any person, respect incredible. And when I remember his attitude, and it's incredible, such a heart too. Then we brought 2 books, his book, he signed for us, and show you, right?
Yes. Autobiography.
Yeah, this is a book, right? Then example like that, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 books. And then he, passed away 2 years ago, 2019, and he was not killed by a gangster, and he went very peacefully with God's love. And this is one of the story, I think each of you and person, he said, I am a proud Korean. I think he's a truly, proud Korean. I think Santosh met many people in Korea, and we really thank Santosh is working hard in Fiji and between Indian and also the Fijian people. He's a great mission and incredible heart and respect other people. Really, we thank. Okay, just a testimony of what he worked together with. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Arai. Yeah, thank you. I still have time for one or 2 more people. So go ahead. Everyone's being very kind and waiting for others. Yes, Daniela, you like to share?
Yeah, Rev Santosh. Hold on. Can you hear okay?
Yep, that's better.
Okay. Yeah, just like to ask you a question, Rev Santosh. Where did you join the church? How did you meet the church?
To me,
Yes.
oh yeah, I met church in Nepal in 1999. That was during Pure Love. That was time of Pure Love rally, you know. 1999. I had just finished my senior high school, and I was looking opportunity. What would be my next journey? My father asked me to. It's very. He had asked me to go for engineering course, and then I was ready for that. And then I had to join my engineering course from January 2000. But October in 1999, I made two parents, and then my mindset changed, because I wanted to be full time. When I studied divine principle, I wanted to be full time. So it was not possible for me to become full time and to study engineering course. So I thought that I should stop thinking about engineering, and then I told my parents this thing, and then my parents were not happy with me. Then I chose to study sociology in my bachelor degree, and then my for 3-4 years, my parents were still, arguing me, please go back to your engineering course, please go back to your engineering course. But I was already flying in my mission field. I was never in Kathmandu, or I was never in my hometown. Sometime I was in India doing fundraising, sometime in Korea, sometime in different part of Nepal doing fundraising, witnessing, and my frontline activities. So, but later, when I went to Korea, I studied a master's in Chongpyeong in True Parents Studies in Chongsim, and then later I had chance to go to Hanning University, one of the very prestigious university in Korea, and then I did my second master's in Korean Studies, International Relationship, with very good grades, and I sent those grades and that certificate to my parents, and they became happy.
Very good. Thank you, Santosh. I think that's always the best thing to do, to help make our parents happy. So actually we're at this time where we can share unison prayer together. So let's pray to make our heavenly parents and our true parents and our own parents happy. So I'll just share the screen. Okay, let's begin. Adieu, adieu, adieu. Thank you, everyone, and thank you, Reverend Santosh, and let's everyone have a great day and see you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you today.
Thank you, Rev Santosh.
Thank you.
Thank you, Santosh.
Thank you. Bonjour, Branito.
Bonjour, bonjour. Ça va bien?
Oui, ça va, ça va.
Thank you very much.
Bonne journée.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.